Coziness is a hot commodity in VRChat. A good majority of the popular worlds are just cozy spaces for people to hang out in. And I've gotta say, I do find it a bit strange that when you give people a magical technology that lets them go anywhere they want, real or imagined, the most commonly expressed desire seems to be a nice apartment, or a house, a big one with a pool. But that's not the virtual reality future I signed up for. This technology has the power to close the gap between imagination and reality, but sometimes it feels like we're letting that power go to waste. So today, I'm going to introduce you to 5 beautiful worlds that are unlike anything you've ever seen in real life. Afterwards Island by Yo Guruto. This world is a bit strange. Look at the floor. It's halfway between geography and architecture, kind of a landscape of stairs. You might say it looks like marble, but it's actually completely untextured. These spiderweb patterns are just shadows cast by the Chinese lantern fruits hanging overhead. There's also a small lantern fruit that projects a real-time light so you can pick it up and cast your own shadow patterns all over the place. Surprisingly fun. If you think about it for a second though, these lantern fruits shouldn't exist. There's no soil for them to grow in, no water cycle to give them rain, and it's a mystery to me what kind of solar wind could have carried the seeds all the way out to this isolated pocket of the cosmos. Maybe the world creator has satisfying answers to these problems and maybe they don't. But this lack of logic or explanation is something I actually really enjoy in VRChat. Of course, some worlds are designed with meticulous world building in mind, where every character, prop, and puddle is meaningfully connected to a larger story. And I do find that attention to detail impressive, but there are just as many worlds where the highest creative priorities are spectacle and atmosphere, where it seems like the creator had a certain visual in mind and was willing to bend every rule of nature and plausibility to achieve it. If I had to guess, I'd say the thought process behind this world was visually motivated. It's undeniably gorgeous, whether it makes sense or not, and it really makes you appreciate the sheer unrestricted artistry that's possible on this platform. VRChat is a place where people throw their imaginations onto a public canvas so that other people can hang out inside of them, and I think that's pretty cool. Mont Moulins by Quatonics. Now, granted, this world almost doesn't belong on this list. There's nothing here that fully qualifies as fantasy escapism. I mean, there's probably at least one real place, somewhere in the world, where there are windmills built on mountains that reach above the clouds. But I think it's fair to assume that for most of you watching this video, windmills above the clouds are not an everyday kind of thing, much less when it's all rendered in this Okami-esque brushstroke style. The main appeal of a place like this is inaccessibility. Just imagine the trouble someone would have to go through if they wanted to come bother you up here. No car is going to reach the top of these mountains, and very few people are willing to climb steep inclines like these ones. It's safe to say that if you can find a way up here, your worldly troubles won't be following you. Now, I really am sorry to gatekeep you like this, flat-screen YouTube viewer, but to me, this is one of those worlds that hits way harder when you look at it through a headset. And the reason I feel that way is because this world is a taste of what we're missing in VR. Ever since the first modern headsets launched in 2016, I've been patiently waiting for a full, immersive, beautiful VR adventure game to get lost in. If you've ever been completely over-invested in a game world to the point that the scenery and characters start to feel like real places you're visiting and real people you're meeting along the way of your real adventure, then you probably understand why someone would want to see that experience brought to VR. There have been attempts, but none of them have scratched the itch for me, whether they were undercooked or just not to my tastes. But loading into this place, I can't shake the feeling that I've stepped into a vertical slice of a grand RPG adventure. Just imagine it with me. Think of this place as a rest stop on your journey after a difficult level or dungeon. Maybe you barely escaped an encounter with a deadly rival and you're badly injured, but somehow you made it up here and you're safe. You can spend as long as you want in this place until you're recovered and ready to continue your travels. Hope You Be Warmed by Kotatsu. There's no simple way to explain what this world is about, so I'm just going to take you on a guided tour and hope you figure it out along the way. As you emerge from the starting cave into the brilliant light of day, a sparkling river guides your path through a misty valley until you arrive at the Crystal Pond. I think you'll agree it's pretty spectacular. You'd be forgiven for assuming that this is the end and we've seen everything, but if you circle around to the back of the rock wall, you'll discover a hidden tunnel. You can feel free to disagree, but as far as I'm concerned, this underground section is the coziest little hermit cave in all of VRChat. It's secluded without feeling claustrophobic, vibrant but not overstimulating, and if I could choose anywhere to live out my final days as a century-old curmudgeon, this place would be a contender for sure. Anyway, we're not far from the destination now. Hey, snap out of it. Yes, the particle tree is very enchanting, but it's not what we're here to see. Our final destination is over there, through that tiny square hole. This is what we came to see. It might not look like much, but this campsite is where all the action happens. Imagine there's someone you need to have a difficult conversation with. Maybe you need to break some bad news to them or own up to a terrible thing you did. Here's the solution. You hide out at the far end of this world and send that person an invite. Maybe they're a bit confused when they spawn in, maybe they're wondering where you are, but that all melts away as they get drawn into the beauty and intrigue of their surroundings. By the time they reach the designated meeting spot, they're cleared of all negative emotions, unstressed and blissed out with perfect mental composure. Earthman, so good to see you. Hello, Funkbuster. I could say the same, it's been far too long. To what do I owe the pleasure? Straight to the point, I see. You want to know why I called you out here? Yes. Do you remember the incident? How could I forget? It was the defining event of my life, and I've lived with the guilt of that moment every day since. Why do you ask? Well, it might have been me who shook up your Pepsi. Lonely Sky by Stack_. A bench is a pretty incredible thing. It's a piece of furniture in a public area that you're entitled to. You get to sit there and enjoy the ambiance of a place that isn't your home, free of charge. But every bench session has a time limit. Whether it's your bus arriving or a police officer accusing you of loitering, someone or something is always coming to ruin it for you. And that puts a stressful time pressure on your outdoor relaxation sesh. So this world basically exists to fulfill the impossible fantasy of a bench you can sit on forever by removing everything but the bench from the equation. How would a bus even get here if this place was a bus stop? It wouldn't. That's how. There's no roads, no cars, no police. Just an open sky and an endless, still ocean. Just look at this ocean with its paper-flat water shader. The very idea that water like this could muster a wave with the strength to knock you off a bench is completely ridiculous. You're not leaving the bench until you feel like it, and that's final. Olympia by Dr. Morrow. In general, I try to cover lesser known worlds on this channel, but I've chosen to make an exception in this case because, look at it, dude. Olympia is living concept art. It's a fantasy novel cover you can step inside of. It's a landmark achievement in virtual reality escapism, and it deserves to be recognized as such. The world consists of a small archipelago with one big island and a few smaller islands you can travel to by boat. Most of the space on the big island is taken up by a town, and while the total lack of residents gives this place an eerie vibe, you can tell just by looking at it that this is a thriving civilization at the peak of its brilliance. And I think it's this sense of civilizational harmony that makes Olympia such a refreshing place to visit. To give you an example of what I'm talking about, this throne room is supported by pillars instead of walls, and is therefore completely indefensible from any kind of attack. So it's strange then that the town planners have confidently placed it right next to the residential district. The only possible explanation is that this island is some kind of utopian paradise where there's actual trust between the people and their leaders. Incredible. It's clear that the people who built this town have a deep respect for the natural world. You can see it in the living rooftop over this balcony, in the shrine built to venerate this old tree, and in the way the town's infrastructure delicately and unintrusively weaves around the natural formations of the island. There's also a little nature reserve just a short walk away from the town center. But somehow, despite refusing to destroy their natural surroundings, these people have been able to achieve incredible feats of advanced technology, such as this mechanical gangplank that extends out over a shark-infested pool of water. Just in case people want to, get a closer look at the sharks. Of course, even if you're living in the perfect society, the day will eventually come when you thirst for adventure, when all you want to do is scan the horizon for the most interesting looking rock and set sail towards it. And here we are. It's a bit of a hike to reach the top, but that just means there's definitely something amazing up there. And I say that with confidence because this map is full of amazing things, way more than I could hope to showcase in this segment, and many of which are so surprising you'd be better off discovering them for yourself anyway. It's no exaggeration to say that this world and others like it are some of the most interesting explorable spaces in all of VR, not just VRChat. And I think this tells you a lot about the strong DIY spirit that's been a massive part of VR development since long before even the original Oculus Kickstarter 12 years ago. We, the community, are building exactly the kind of metaverse we prefer, and that is undeniably very cool and punk rock of us. Oh hey, breakfast. Oh, but it's dinner time. I guess I'll just have to leave those eggs exactly where they are and go right back the way I care. Oof, oof, ah, oof. And we're back. I hope I was able to show you something that sparked your interest. I know it's not up to me to tell people how to enjoy VR, but if more people spent more of their time in these kinds of high concept worlds, I would like that. We're still in the early days of virtual reality, and we all get to shape what its future looks like, just by the way we as consumers are choosing to use it today, whether that's a corporate office hellscape or a magical forest. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider watching this other video. Depending on when you're watching this, it might be the only other long-form video on the channel. So if you've already seen that one and you still want to see more, then subscribe. More later, okay? Yeah.